I'm just so discouraged and disheartened. And it would have been laughable because it was so ridiculous. The whole experience was ridiculous, except I couldn't appeal. I mean, it was so far off what we had agreed on when we were first divorced that it was, I just really couldn't believe that she was serious. Mary Gallagher. Judge Warner's rulings were so ridiculous just in my personal case that I just can't imagine ever having to go back before her for anything. I took my ex-husband back to court when he owed me over $8,000 in out-of-pocket expenses. And while I had a rolling suitcase of receipts and ledgers and Excel spreadsheets and check numbers, all of that was ignored, and he was able to walk out of court, and our settlement agreement was basically voided. He didn't have to pay me half of the out-of-pocket expenses anymore. I couldn't afford to appeal it. My attorney said, you know, we can appeal, I think we'll win, I think we'll be okay, but this is what it's going to cost to appeal, and I just couldn't afford it. As long as Judge Patricia Warner is on the bench, I'm not taking my ex-husband back to court, and he knows that. He feels confident that he doesn't have to pay, that he'll be able to get away with that again, and I feel just as confident that he will too. So as long as, you know, Judge Warner's on the bench, there's no point in taking him back to court to collect what he owes me. I feel like when you go to court, you need to have the most accurate records you can have. And I had a rolling suitcase full of receipts and check stubs, and I had matched everything out on a spreadsheet. And I mean, I was ready to back every single expense up, and she just didn't want to hear it. She just didn't want to see it. My ex-husband didn't come to the first hearing date, so we really didn't have a hearing per se. We just rescheduled. So when we went to the rescheduled hearing, you know, my attorney says, okay, and here's this, and she didn't care. She didn't care. She didn't want to see it. She didn't want to hear it. And that's when she was just like, you know, he shouldn't have to go back and pay her all that. Well, you know, the pharmacy doesn't just take my good name for the drug bills, and the orthodontist doesn't either. Somebody has to pay that. And if I'm the custodial parent, I have to pay that. And Judge Warner, she just didn't care. I don't know where she thinks, you know, or who she thinks is going to pay those bills, but somebody has to pay them. And Judge Warner just didn't even care. She didn't even bother with all the work and all the receipts to back everything up. She just let him go. If the settlement agreement had been enforced by Judge Warner, my ex-husband and I would get along better, because it would be what we had agreed to. We would be on the same moral ground. It's absolutely imperative to get Judge Warner off the bench and get someone in there that is fair and impartial and will enforce the law and not be overturned. You know, we need somebody. We can't all afford to go on an appeal. Sometimes this is all we have, this is all we can do. We need a judge that respects and understands that. We need a judge on the bench who will get it right the first time, and that's Kathy Brown. I want everybody to know the truth, that this is what it's really like for just average working people, and they need to help me get Judge Warner out of office.